Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good life, wherever you are. This is an insane moment in the history of our country, the United States. It's a crazy moment in the history of the planet for human beings because of this virus that decided to jump species way back in November or so and spread from Wuhan to become a global pandemic. And the emergence was in China, but now it's everybody's responsibility to tamp it down. We're not doing a very good job of that. Not just in the United States, a number of European countries are now facing lockdown again every week during the week as part of our Earth Institute Initiative Communication and Innovation project. We dive into those serious subjects and including the rancor around this election. And we did vote early, my son and I, earlier this week. My wife is voting on election day. I hope you're voting. If you're in the United States, wherever you are, you've either voted or are planning to vote, and making sure that people you know and love are doing the same. But we're going to go away from all of that today again, and this is the No Talking Heads version of the Earth Institute Sustain What webcast. I'm Andy Revkin. I've got some great musical and other guests here, spiritual musical guests. So let's bring them in today to meet you. There's Karen Brooks in rural Massachusetts near the Vermont border. There's Ray Pierre Humbert, who's one of the greatest minds working in climate science these days, who moved from the University of Chicago some years back to Oxford over in England, the Holly Professor of Physics. Is it Holly? Is it pronounced Holly there?
Well, actually, in his day, it would have been pronounced Hawley.
Holly, yeah,
A lot of
Hallie.
people typically say Hallie now, but the proper pronunciation was Hawley.
So, and there's a certain comment that people would probably understand is
Yes, right.
most
As
relevant.
well as Bill Haley on the Comets is the
That's right.
Haley, yes.
And here's the Reverend Billy Talon, who is who is at the Church of Stop Shopping. More than a decade ago, I featured the Reverend Billy's work as a performance artist and a serious activist focused on truly equal playing field for everyone, regardless of their sexual, racial, or other orientations. Reverend, it's great to have you here this morning. Hallelujah.
Earth-alleluia.
Hallelujah. Maybe we could start out with a little bit of a sermon, you know, a little bit of a reflection from Reverend Billy on where we're at right now and where do we go? Where do we go, man? What do we do?
Earth-alleluia. I know that we're made of the material and spirit of the earth. And I know that there's earth streaming through my mind and through the windows here. I got Prospect Park in my window over here in Brooklyn. We ask for the mindfulness in the material, that thing that evolves. Why we don't get to know, but life is struggling right now against an extinction that is accelerating, and we know that we've been called to join in that evolution in some way. We don't quite have the signal yet, but we haven't been understanding that language for a few centuries, but we will, and I'm confident here in this conversation we'll get a little bit closer to that. Amen.
So where are you preaching these days? I'm showing some people some of your activities. You can't get the choir together. We know that choir has spread COVID-19.
Sure. We've been finding ways.
Good.
Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, you're overwhelming.
Hallelujah.
I just read a William Blake poem about memory. We are this last Tuesday, Andrew. Mm-hmm. We were in, if you can picture this, folks, just east of the Staten Island Ferry, Manhattan end. There are tall Wall Street-sized skyscrapers, and there's a Vietnam Veterans Memorial down in there, one of those privately owned public spaces, you know, and it's got an amphitheater and a kind of memorial glass brick thing. And in one of those buildings on the 11th floor is the offices of the Policemen's Benevolent Association. And so we had one of those, moments of blinding integration, where the choir was there with 30 of us. We were all in ball gowns and kind of in drag. It was like a Mardi Gras thing for us. And then we were surrounded by hundreds of police persons. I don't think they had the offices of their mob. You had the sensation that we were discovering the social club of Tony Soprano, and they are apologists for murder on a regular basis, as you know.
Yeah.
And but then we were there shouting "Earth Alleluia," and then we had peace people. We had the vets, because so many veterans have been arrested there, reciting the names of those who have been killed and so forth. So we had that was just Tuesday. We were in masks, of course, and the police were not.
Yeah.
They're Trumpers. But
yeah,
we were all together there, Dr. Revkin.
So Dr. Talon, when you think about where we have to go in this country, there's been so much focus on our divisions. The internet, this thing we're all connected with here, is actually designed to divide us. It's designed to piss us off and distract us. So when you think about this online environment, is there something to preach about how to get sane and effective?
Well, we just have to, as I talk to my 10-year-old Lena, we have to practice, and I have to do it in front of Lena. I have to do it myself. Practice exercising the muscle of like ending that conversation and walking away from it, going to the earth, going to conversation, going to direct communication. I remember I lived in the Bay Area when they were cooking this up, and I remember the romance of it was like William Blake. It was like the way people were talking. It was right out of Allen Ginsberg. It was, we will be together. We will, the very global village rhetoric in the extreme,
Oh, it caught that's what got me. That's what .earth came from. I was like, yeah, hallelujah,
yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh God. It was a religion,
Yeah.
and before it became the richest companies in the world, it was a religion. Like the Roman Catholic Church, it was a religion, and then it became a huge business. So,
and they're preaching, that's the church of start shopping.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Now it is.
Yeah.
We're pivoting from work against work work in regard to Black Lives Matter, of course, the African American people in our choir, following them into their lives, and that's what Tuesday was. But now it's the holidays, and that's what, when you had me on your show .earth, that's when we have Buy Nothing Day, and that's when the Church of Stop Shopping seems to have suddenly a purpose, and so we're pivoting to the earth. Amazon is the devil. It's the dirtiest corporation in the country, surpassing a few weeks ago, surpassing Walmart, and we'll be going to jail from the loading docks of Amazon's. We'll try to say hi, Andy, as we go to the tombs.
We'll be tuning in for that.
It'll be funny. It came out sad.
Yeah. So that's a good pivot to some inspiring music. We're talking about some tough things here, but the Sunday show is to build our souls up through celebration and the communion that comes through.
Amen.
Choruses, choirs, and Karen, up in rural Mass, in near the Vermont border, do you have a song that you want to throw in here this morning?
Well, it's a song that we have sung many times. But yes, Power and Glory just seems another appropriate time
Amen.
for it, right? So yeah, I'll just imagine you guys are all
Oh,
singing
I
harmony,
missed
playing
that.
along. Come on and take a walk with me through this green and growing land. Walk through the meadows and the mountains and the sand. Walk through the valleys and the rivers and the plains. Walk through the sun and walk through the rain. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. From Colorado, Kansas, and the Carolinas to Virginia and Alaska, from the old to the new, Texas and Ohio and the California shore. Tell me who could ask for more? Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. Yet she's only as rich as the poorest of the poor, only as free as a padlocked prison door, only as strong as our love for this land, only as tall as we stand. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all. Yet our land is still troubled by those who have to hate. They twist away our freedom and they twist away our fate. Fear is their weapon, treason is their cry. We can stop them if we try. Here is a land full of power and glory, beauty that words cannot recall. Oh, her power shall rest on the strength of her freedom. Glory shall rest on us all, on us all. Thanks.
So beautiful. And, you know, I so miss us convening to sing that together. You're the vocals just of the other Trouble Sisters. And when we join in with Patrick and David and the
I
others,
know.
it's such a marvelous
I miss
tune.
it.
And I remember he played at Brown University when I was in college. And then, of course, he committed suicide. It was actually not long after he played at Brown Phil Oaks. A soul who is much missed. And boy, that song reverberates so much these days.
Right. So true.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right.
And thank you, Billy, for your sermonizing. And now Ray Pierre Humbert in jolly old Oxford, England.
Jolly old Oxford, and with everything under lockdown, it's hard to tell you're actually in Oxford. All of our college dinners with the Harry Potter gowns and the long graces in Latin and so forth. That's all in suspension. But we still have a lot of lovely countryside in the vicinity. So within a bicycle range. So.
Right, and the UK just announced an actual month of national lockdown.
I was just out on my bike ride today. Everybody's getting their last call in at the pubs and the restaurants because they're all shutting down. They're all shutting down on Thursday. So, but I haven't actually been to a pub myself since March. It's just not worth they're pretty crowded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
usually speaking loudly and expelling lots of.
Yeah. But I mean, what I really miss about the pubs is all of our music sessions. You know, the Scandi sessions where they all used to meet in pubs, and when the weather's nice, sometimes we get together outdoors. But it has to everything has to line up, and it's getting dark now, so you can't do it in the evening. So, but we're holding it together.
So if you were sitting in the corner of a nice pub that had a traditional Sunday music session, what would you be playing?
So these are some things that I play a lot at our Scandi session. It actually should be called a Nordic session, because we play Finnish tunes as well as Swedish, etc. tunes. And Finnish is not a Scandinavian language. It's a completely different language group. It's culturally quite different. So I'm going to play some Finnish. I'm going to play one Finnish dance tune. It's a yanka. A yanka is one of these circle dances where you do a lot of twirling around, but it's one of the dances where you get to stay with your own partner. You get to dance with the person who brung you the whole time, and they're really jolly dances. And Finland really is full of tanssilat, dance halls, where you can still go and do traditional dances, waltzes, this fast polka they do called a humpa, yankas. Actually, if you know what a shadish is, a yanka is quite close to a shadish. But a lot of these tunes, these dance tunes, they actually date from the 40s and 50s. And one of the things I do for entertainment is collect Finnish lumberjack movies. There's actually a very, very active movie industry in Finland in the late 40s through the early 60s, and it's attributed to Jean-Luc Godard. Oh yes, and these movies all had accordions. And they mostly had trees, and they were rom-coms for the most part. And a lot of the music comes from these films. So it was attributed to Jean-Luc Godard that to make a movie, all you need is a girl and a gun. Actually, it might have been D.W. Griffiths, but so the motto of the Finnish film industry at the time is all you need is a tree and a girl and an accordion. So this is, you can hardly get these anymore. So these are two of the great ones. Me Tula Me Tas, we come with the spring when and then Kaksi Vanha Tukiyetka, two old lumberjacks, and then Rovaniemi Markkinoja with the great Esa Pakarinen, a great actor and a great accordionist. Oh yes, one of my Kulkurin Valsi, the Tramp's Waltz. A very lovely one. Really romantic. Taika A Magic Evening. And this is one of my favorites. Lenta Bakalokuka, the Flying Fish Cake. It's
of course.
Built a mystery.
Who can forget?
built around a particular kind of rye bread with little fish baked into it. That's made in Kuopio, and it comes on the train once a week to Helsinki. It goes on, and of course, when I could go on, I won't go on forever. But this is the great Esa Pakarinen again. Hey, real.
Oh my God!
There's just a ton of these. I may have the last surviving copies outside of film archives of some of these things. But what I'm going to play now is Harin Yanka, and then maybe later on I'll play some more of the movie tunes. I'll just take off my headphones so I can hear what I'm playing. So here we go.
That was great. I was playing along.
I feel
at
better
home.
already. I mean,
I can
music, I feel better already. Music just,
Oh, it
music
is, yeah.
actually has a biophysical restorative property.
Oh, yeah, it's even better when you're dancing. One of my favorite there's a dance hall north of the Arctic Circle, a place where we like to go cross country skiing called Rimuliteri, where they play all this sort of music, and it's pitch dark. If you go in January, it's pitch dark, but you go in and then bright lights and music and people dancing a yanka and the humba. It's just marvelous. And then you go out and you see the northern lights.
Wow.
It doesn't get any better than that, and then
Wow.
you ski back to your cabin. That's
I've got to go back to the streets now.
yeah.
Okay. Bye now. Thank you.
Hey, Reverend
care.
Billy,
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
be-
you.
we'll check back in with you soon. So you take
Amen.
care.
Earth
Stay
Illusion.
safe. Pass along that baton. Keep it going. It's great to have him here on occasion.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I've got to get a jacket like that. I really like his jacket.
Yeah, we all need brighter colors, I think, And speaking, wow, one goes and one comes. Here's Andre Codrescu.
Wow, one goes and one comes. Here's Andre.
Good morning, Andre.
Andre, we're getting a really bad echo, so I don't know if you have any kind of headphones or thing of that sort. That would be great to know. I've just muted you just for a moment. I don't like to mute. It's like, let's see if this is still there.
No more.
Yeah, hey.
Hi, good to see everyone.
You too. You have a glow over your head that makes you seem even more luminous than usual.
I got a good night's sleep, I guess.
Yeah.
In Prospect Park, so things are okay. Just thinking about the second lockdown or the second wave, this winter, and not being very happy about it, but
Yeah.
making do by reading poetry. So I read this. I put together an anthology in the year 2000 for the beginning of the millennium. It's called American Poets Say Goodbye to the 20th Century. And everybody said, well, Gary Snyder said, why don't you call it Goodbye to the Millennium? And I said, well, I didn't really live in a millennium. I lived in a century. My lifetime was in this 20th century. And people wrote some interesting poems. One of them by Robert Creeley actually wrote a poem called Goodbye. And it was prophetic in a way, because bad as our time is, the 20th century was a lot worse.
Yeah. Well, and can you offer us a little taste of something?
I was just thinking of this Creeley poem, and then I wrote something in response. Creeley said goodbye, and he said goodbye to that dreadful 20th century with its 2 wars and other disasters. He said, goodbye. Now I recognize it was always me, like a camera set to expose itself to a picture, or a pipe through which the water might run, or a chicken dead for dinner, or a plan inside the head of a dead man. Nothing so wrong when one considered how it all began. It was Zhukovsky's born very young into a world already very old. The century was well along when I came in, and now that it's ending, I realized it won't be long. But couldn't it all have been a little nicer, as my mother would say? Did it have to kill everything in sight? Did right always have to be so wrong? I know that this body is impatient. I know I continue only a meager voice and mind. Yet I love. I want no sentimentality. I want no more than home. So Creeley also wrote this great line, which I loved, because it says the body is the plan. And so thinking on that now, I thought I would add to that a little bit and just see if the body's still the plan, and then it is. And I remembered also when one of the anchors, I think was Dan Rather was attacked by some hoods and thugs on the street, and one of them said, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?" Mysterious sentence that to this day, sort of upsetting and interesting. And it quotes "The Body is the Plan" by Robert Creeley. The body is the platform of the body that is the plan of the body that broadcasts the plan to a body that is the same plan with perhaps a pleasing difference. So it's still that, and it's hopeful. Maybe this century will end on a better note.
Dan Rather is interesting. He's had a second life as a commentator and newscaster on the internet. His Facebook and Twitter following are over 1 million now, and even in his 80s, he's still quite eloquent and posting very deeply wrought observations on where we are at. Someday I'll try to have him on the show because we'll see if that happens. Karen, do you have another song coming from the North Country there?
I do, but it has nothing to do with the election.
Nothing wrong with that. Oh, and Claudia Gibson is with us, by the way. I forgot. Claudia, I'm going to pull you into to say hello. So we've
Claudia.
Hey, Claudia.
Hey, Claudia.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Waiting,
As okay as anything can be right now, right?
Just waiting. I got my Mercy Now shirt on, so.
And now I see, by the way, Mercy Now. Mercy is a good thing. Yeah, we actually, maybe Karen, before we're out, you can play Sisters of Mercy. But speaking of mercy, but let's see.
I could do that song just as well. I was going to do that Mull of Kintyre in honor of Sean Connery.
Oh, I love the idea. And now Dean Friedman is with us from beautiful exurban Peekskill environs, not too far from where I live. Hey, Dean. Hey, Claudia.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see y'all.
Ray, Karen.
Maybe I would do Sisters of Mercy only because it's, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to briefly interject right now. I'm going to be leaving soon after this because my neighbor's coming over. We're putting in, you remember all those little lambs this spring that were so cute?
We do.
Well, now is the time for one of those little lambs to become baby daddy. And
wow.
So, and this is the little interesting thing that I have 4 uncastrated males to choose from. This is a new thing for me. More information than you need, but at the same time. So there's one that's very ready, but quite aggressive, and I'm afraid of him. So he doesn't get to go in with the girls right now. I'm taking the more calm animal. And yet if the calm animal can't do it, then the aggressive one has to go in. I think that's somehow a commentary on the world, somehow, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll do Sisters of Mercy. It's really out of context now, but that's okay.
No, I love that.
Oh, the Sisters of Mercy, they are not departed or gone. They were waiting for me when I thought that I just can't go on. And I brought me their comfort, and later they brought me their song. Oh, I hope you run into them, you who've been traveling so long. Yes, you who must leave everything that you cannot control. It begins with your family, later comes around to your soul. Well, I've been where you hang, and I think I can see how you're pinned. When you're not feeling holy, your loneliness says that you've sinned. They lay down beside me, I made my confession to them. They touched both my eyes, and I touched the dew on their head. If your life is a leaf that the seasons tear off and condemn, they will bind you with love that is graceful and green as a stem. When I left, they were sleeping. I hope you run into them soon. Don't turn on the light. You can read their address by the moon. And it won't make me jealous if I learn that they've sweetened your night. We weren't lovers like that, and besides, it would still be alright. We weren't lovers like that, and besides, it would still be alright.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Wow. Leonard Cohen. When we were voting early the other day, Jack, my younger son, and I was humming Leonard Cohen's Democracy is Coming.
Yeah.
All we could hope.
I know.
It's someone tweeted this morning something pretty profound. It was democracy. We don't have it if you have to have a landslide to feel that you comfortably have it. Then that's a problem. That's not a functioning democracy. But let's hope we have a landslide anyway. So a clear outcome. Claudia and Dean, how are you both doing? Claudia, Wimberley, what's going on in Texas? I hear that like more people have already voted.
Yeah.
More people have voted than voted in the entirety of the election in 2016.
Yeah. So let's start with the good thing. Yeah. And that started here in Hays County, that more people have voted than voted in all of the 2016 election. And that might be all of Texas now. So that's good. So the good thing, right? You always open with the good thing. And then the not so good thing was the Trumpers surrounding the Harris-Biden bus yesterday on I-35 between San Antonio and Austin, and trying to run it off the road. Yeah, and those are, they're really vocal, crazy, Tea Party. They used to be Tea Partiers, and now I guess they're Trumpers. So, it's upsetting because, that disturbed me what you said, that we have to have a landslide for democracy, because that's something that we would hear when I was, in previous years, we would hear of happening in countries that, don't have democracy, or that have, sort of figurehead democracies. And so that's disturbing, Yeah, it's just...
that scene yesterday was almost as disturbing as the president retweeting it.
Well, that's even more disturbing, to tell you the truth. But what can you do? And it's not, that's not surprising. So,
I know.
But anyway, I have my Mercy Now shirt on because I decided to think a positive thought today.
Good.
So.
And do you have a musical contribution that fits that? or whatever it doesn't have to fit that. Whatever you're thinking of offering up.
I think I've done this song before. I'm going to turn up my monitor a little because I'm always lower than hearing you guys. But I wrote this song a couple months into COVID, and let's say I was probably feeling pretty kind of down, and it wasn't, part of when you write, especially if you're older, like not everything is, of your life. When you're young, you're like, oh, my heart's broken, but, unless you're Dean Friedman, and then you can write these fantastic stories at any age, I mean, he was writing like really great stuff in other people's heads from a young age, but me, but now it's like you take little bits and pieces and say, oh yeah, that. So anyway, I've done this song before, but I'm going to do it again because I don't play it out much. I don't play out much anymore anyway. But this is called Boot in the Yard. There's a boot in the yard, it's covered with rain. I don't know how it got there, or why it remains. There are clouds in the sky and ice in my veins, 'cause I don't feel nothing no more. When I was a gambler, I bet on your face, my perfect companion. You left without trace. Yes, the years made us strangers. Our love's been replaced. we don't feel nothing no more. No, we don't feel nothing no more. And sometimes awake, hearing the night wind. It sounds like a voice, thunder and lightning begins. Yes, time keeps on marching. We take what it brings. There's gold and there's garbage. Red morning birds sing with their melodies, teasing the secrets of spring. Like we might feel something once more. Well, my home is a planet that hurtles through space, while a boot in the yard is in need of a lace. Like we need understanding, a warm and safe place, so we can feel something once more. So we might feel something once more. Thanks, guys.
Very sweet. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
And there's some really nice comments coming in. Let me just see here. There was a wonderful one a few minutes ago. Don Shelby was saying, "This is church for this moment. Thanks, Andy and all. The body and soul make the plan. Earthalluia." And
Earthalluia, I like that.
I do love, that was the Reverend Billy. He uses that expression when he's preaching the church of the gospel of stop shopping and start loving. Here's Donna Nestler. Ray Pierre Humbert's playing of the chromatic button accordion is fascinating. Yeah, she does the concertina, and Heidi Berthaler, what a gorgeous song and voice, soothing for our time. That was for you. That was for you. For you all, really. You're all soothing, Claudia and everybody. And another Earthalluia. Dean Friedman. Last time you were on here, you played some wonderful tunes, one of which I've been playing to people over and over again. I just want to get back to a halfway normal world. And I'm hoping maybe before the end of the hour, you can play that one again. But how are you doing, first of all? And what were you thinking of offering up as a first musical salve this morning? Oh, I might have muted you. Hold on. There, you're unmuted now.
You
are totally back.
Okay. As for what I've been thinking about, I have continued to try to wrap my head around how half my countrymen and women have a particular viewpoint that I can't really fathom. And so I'm trying to come to grips with that, trying to understand it as best I can, as opposed to just dismissing them as out of their minds. But that's a real challenge, and hopeful about the upcoming turn of events, but also, cautiously pessimistically optimistic.
Yeah. On that point you just made, the thing you are musing on is something we'll be diving into in a deeper way on Monday, tomorrow. I just got to show folks, Reggie Harris, who's a frequent musical performer here, had an amazing conversation in the last few years with the white half of his family. He descends from a slaveholder, Wickham, and a slave, obviously. And he is reconciled to a certain extent with some of the white lineage from that same family. And they're going to be on tomorrow with two practitioners of how to hold a difficult conversation, which I feel like is, if there's one skill we need to build going forward, it's what Dean was just articulating. How do we get into the heads and hearts of people who we know basically are still the same species and have some common interests, but we all tend to get stuck in this us and them mode. And it's really it's really a grand challenge. So thanks for bringing that up. And
yeah, I look forward to following that up. And what were you going to say?
No. So musically, how does that translate into the musical realm? Or wait, what's a song to throw into the mix here?
All right. Well, I'm going to move to the keyboard real quick.
Yeah.
It's a song that I wrote, which was very overly ambitious to try and examine our own history, our original sins of this country, and the role that violence, in particular guns, has perpetually played in it. So I'm going to make my way over here.
And how frequently do you do your show, by the way? What's the best way for deanfriedman.com, I think, is a good way for people to find you, right?
That's right. That's my website. And at the moment, I'm recording a new album. So I've only been doing my show once a month, the last Sunday of every month. And the details are in the gig section of my website or in the Dean Zine section. It's kind of it kept me occupied and trying to be productive as opposed to just binge watching Netflix. Anyway, this is a song, as I say, although it deals with our history of violence and our original sins, as well as our ongoing sins. It's also a lullaby. I try to present it in as gentle terms as possible, but it also kind of begs the question of why lullabies themselves are so historically violent. Rockabye baby on the treetop. Eventually the cradle falls with baby and all. So anyway, this is an American lullaby. Don't you fret now. Hold on a second.
That's okay.
Don't you fret now, don't you cry. It's an American lullaby. Manifest destiny's a lie. It's an American lullaby. Half moon sailing through the night. Crack of a musket fight, first light. Always keep your powder dry. It's an American lullaby. Rest your head and dreams will fly. It's an American lullaby. Blaze a trail across the sky. It's an American lullaby. The drinking gourd will point the way. Stealth by night and sleep by day. And peg leg Joe, you can rely. It's an American lullaby. Unclench your fist and dry your eye. It's an American lullaby. Judgment served from up on high. It's an American lullaby. One fine night in paradise, the god of thunder rolls the dice. 1,000 rounds light up the sky. lullaby. In restless dreams you shall defy what TV pundits prophesy. Best laid plans have gone awry. It's an American lullaby. He said, I cannot tell why. Cross my heart and hope to die. He still won't look you in the eye. It's an American lullaby. Close your eyes now, sleep is mine. It's an American lullaby. Cross the shallows, do or die. It's an American lullaby. Headlights shining in the dark. Coyotes howl, the bloodhounds bark. You can hear the angels sigh. It's an American lullaby. Human kindness in short supply. It's an American lullaby.
That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
That was so beautiful. That made my day.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, Dane, we have so much work to do.
So yeah, it was a little ambitious trying to squeeze 400 years of violence into a lullaby. So anyway, that's the result.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful, inspiring.
It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I think let's all just take a breath for a second. Once in a while, just a moment of silence is a good thing. Wow.
Just to make reference to some of those lyrics, half moon sailing through the night, crack of a musket fire. That's half moon was the in the 1600s was one of the ships sailing up the Hudson River.
Right.
That so supposedly discovered the New World.
Right.
So it started as early as then, and continues to this day.
Yeah, as I said, I have a song I wrote about this part of the Hudson Valley. A billion years of time and toil are etched in these old hills, carved by ice and dynamite. And there's tomahawks and cannon fire, and all kinds of sounds and activities. Yeah. And here it still is. Boy, great stuff. Ray, is there another accordion offering that you feel fits the moment, or just might have fun?
And Andy, I
you
think
were
I
saying
should
you
go.
got,
I think I better go because I've got the ram duty. I got to go.
She's trying to find the woke teenage baby daddy ram.
The woke teenage baby daddy ram.
Anyway, so nice to see you all.
I'm rooting for the shy guy because I was always the shy guy.
Me too. Plus, he's got better wool. I like his wool better. They all have horns.
You know, there was a time when I had
and Ray
good wool.
and Karen. By the way, right now I'm going to play Karen. I'm going to play that David Burns tune. Ray, just hold on 1 second because I realized I wanted to bring in a pre-recorded offering
Sure,
here
go
if
ahead,
this
yeah.
works correctly. Our good friend David Burns and his crew had written a song that's a response, sort of builds on the idea that all lives matter, but stresses what has been stressed this year so much. Oh, and I'm realizing, hold on, I didn't click the vital button that says include audio. So let me just do that. All these little tricks you have to remember now, as Claudia.
And just a little interesting fact about it: David and I are the only two vocals on it.
That's good. So it's one of those rich. Here we go. So hold on, this should work. I cut out the little intro with Vice President Pence.
Your life matters, and all and if all life matters, then Black Lives Matter, and if Black Lives Matter, then what's the matter with saying it, singing it, marching it, and living it, and that makes your life matter. If your life matters, then all life matters, and if all life matters, then Black Lives Matter, and if Black Lives Matter, then what's the matter with saying it, singing it, marching it, and living it, and that makes your life matter. If your life matters, then all life matters, and if all life matters, then Black Lives Matter, and if Black Lives Matter, then what's the matter with saying out, singing out, marching out, and living out, and that makes your life matter. If your life matters, then all life matters, and if your life matters, then Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter, then what's the matter with saying out, singing out, marching out, and living out, and praise the cause of man. If your life matters, then all life matters, and if your life matters, then Black Lives Matter, and if Black Lives Matter, then what's the matter with saying out, singing out, marching out, and living out, and that makes your life matter.
It's
Very
really a hard
nice.
issue for me.
Yeah.
Very nice. So Karen, how did that come about?
David asked me if I could do a harmony, and then he wanted me to double him. And so I just sent him a whole bunch of tracks on GarageBand, and he mixed it. And his friend wanted to do the video and said, he'll produce it. And it was very short, very quick. It was like, I sent him the parts, and the next day he finished it. It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
It's cool. And it says something important. I like, especially the round aspect when the two thoughts
Yeah.
kind of become
Yeah.
superimposed. I think that
Yeah.
says a lot right there.
And
It's lovely.
it's hard to hear the third, but that "We Shall Overcome," that whole song is in there along with "No More Auction Block." David wrote the entire thing, and just, he was singing it.
Yeah.
That day I was in Beacon, and he sang it on the street in front of his store. And so I heard it one time, and it was like,
interesting.
wow, this is a great song. Anyway, I better go do my duty.
Go.
So
Good
that
luck.
the Ram can do his duty.
Report back.
I will.
We've
I'll
had
see y'all.
we had them all live. We had her sheep early this year.
I know.
We were watching the sheep, and maybe we can see.
Oh.
We won't see that part, the bonding part, but
No, but next spring, by February, we're supposed to have fiber here, so no more 2 megabytes per second internet.
Yay.
Hopefully.
interesting.
So next lambing, I'll be able to show you the farm. Hopefully.
Fantastic.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Be
Good
well.
to see you
We
all.
love you.
You too. I love you too. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Wow. So hold on. Let me make sure everyone's unmuted.
Yeah, I have to talk to someone in Romania.
Okay.
Not quite as serious as the lambs, but it will be a talk about what goes on there, which is very much like what goes on here.
Well, this is a global moment.
Yeah.
Andre, it's been great to have you here. As always, do you have any kind of last quick bibliomancy or other thoughts?
I could use my oracular method. If you ask a question, I'll open this book called American Poets Say Goodbye to the 20th Century and read one at random.
Okay.
Maybe to answer it.
Who's going to win the election? Bibliomancy is this art that I learned about here early in the year. Poetry answers every question. You just take up a book of poetry and you open it to a random page. And
well, this is Jim Harrison answering your question. And he says, the soul's decorum dissembles when she understands that ashes have never returned to wood.
I'm going to ponder that.
Make what you might of that, but I think it means something about take care of the woods.
Yes, well, but that means, by the way, what that says to me is that no matter who wins the election, there's a shitload of work to be done going forward.
Absolutely, and those fires, they certainly made a lot of ash, and some of it is good, but it was not good for other reasons.
Well, say hello to Romania for us, and if there's anyone over there who ever wants to come on the show, musician, poetry.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The door is open globally here.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell Transylvania all about it. It's one day past Halloween.
All right. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Andre.
It's been so much fun having him here. I don't know why NPR doesn't get him back on the national airwaves. I think he's a great voice for this time. So Ray, as I was before I interrupted myself to bring in that other song that was recorded, can you offer a little bit more accordion magic?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure thing. That's a hard act to follow. That's a really incredibly inspiring song and set of videos. This one is relief. Get your mind off everything that's happening. It's a polka, Sekiervan polka. Sekiervi is a lake about halfway between Joensuu and Tampere, if you know your Finnish geography. And it's a phenomenally popular polka in Finland. In fact, in the early days of Nokia phones, it was the most popular ringtone on Nokia phones in Finland, not here. You could, if you went into Helsinki airport, you would hear Sekiervan polka every 10 minutes as people's phones went off. And it was a movie. It was in a movie called Sekiervan polka. But it also appears in the finale of what I think is the most perfect accordion movie ever made. And so I said, in Finnish movies, all you need is a girl, a tree, and an accordion. But if you have enough accordions, you don't even need a tree. So this is a Swedish movie called. You won't find these things on Netflix, guys.
They should be.
Yeah, 100 dragspel och en flicka, 100 accordions and a girl, which is a mystery thriller based around a plot to steal a new design for an accordion, and there are very close to 100 accordions in the grand finale, and one of the tunes is Sekiervan polka. So
Seriously, I'm wait before you play those. Seriously,
Yeah.
Somehow we got to get those on air, even if we play one on this
for
show.
sure. Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds
Actually,
too insane.
You can find bits and pieces of 100 Dragspel spell and flick on YouTube, but just little bits of it, not the whole thing. Okay, so this is a pretty speedy polka. There's on Finnish ski trails. There's a sign which vaativa lasku, which means steep trail, and so Finns are fearless, and for them to have to mark a trail as steep, that means basically fall down right now and get it out of the way.
And by the way, look what I just found.
Oh, you found it? Yeah, there it is. It's Elof Arla, a really great actor, made quite a lot of films. But anyway, there's one part of this that I call Vaativa Lasku, and let's see if I make it through without falling down. Okay, headphones come off. Here we go.
Wow.
Sakierven polka. Vaativa Lasku.
Wow. Yeah, here's another picture from that was amazing. Here's another image from 100 Flickr, 100 Dragspel och en Flicka. Ray, I gotta find a way to show some of that film on this show in coming weeks. That's really cool. Wow. And the whole idea of a thriller based around a secret formula for a design of an accordion.
Yep.
Anyway, you've blown my mind.
Yeah, it has. There isn't a version. There isn't a version with subtitles. It's in Swedish in a kind of an obscure Stockholm dialect. But it's been on the back burner that I would make up a version in iDVD with subtitles. But that's on the back burner for now.
It does sound like a film that doesn't need subtitles.
It doesn't actually need the subtitles that much. It's pretty clear what's going on. I mean, here's the accordions, here's the girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Claudia, let's circle back to Wimberley, Texas. After that,
I was flashing back to college days in New Paltz and playing a very weird wedding up in Kerhonkson, where we had to learn polka songs.
Oh yeah, in Kerhonkson.
And no one. Well, Kerhonkson is different nowadays, but back then it was interesting. And we only knew one polka song, but the bride's father wanted it, "Roll Out the Barrel," and the trumpet player said, "Oh, I know that song, I can sing it," but he only knew like one verse, so he just, at the end of it, he would just keep singing the chorus, and he'd say, "Once again, please," and we played it for like 10 minutes. And playing, I was like remembering like the sweaty bodies kind of hurtling towards the stage, and you're kind of like leaning back and going, okay.
Yeah, and have you ever been, there's also that polka, the Black Dirt area in across the river here in the Hudson Valley, where they have that polka festival, and there was one of the very famous polka bands that's won more Grammy Awards, I think, than anyone in history, was this polka band.
No, there's a lot of Tex-Mex polka out here, though. It's it was mixture of the Germans and the Europeans who came here and Mexican, and it's cool. Yeah, it's pretty popular.
So what you got?
Well, I have a song that my husband actually had requested. He sent me a text, and which is cute, because he's downstairs withholding from banging on taking our back door out and putting in a new one because I'm on. And I'm doing a show later too at I guess 4 p.m. your time on my Facebook music page and YouTube. But so he has to stop again too. So I figured because he's giving up that, and I would give him this song. And it's actually my grandmother came from Russia. She was a refugee. It came over at 14 with her Bessie Levitt. She came from what is now Belarus with her sister, and they were orphaned, and she was always really proud of voting, when she became a citizen. And she told my mom, voting is the most important thing you can do, because, they didn't have that right. And so this song is a really simple song that I wrote, kind of thinking about integration and voting and whatever. So I'm just going to ask if other people can maybe mute their mics while I'm playing.
I think we're all muted. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to mute.
Thanks. Thank you. This is called Promised Land. Papa died the 19th of September. They sent us off 1 month to the day. Me and Lina with a tattered old brown suitcase, Papa's portrait tucked inside the safe. From Liverpool in steerage class, nose pressed to dirty glass, tossing on the ocean 10 long days. Sister, take my hand. There's the lady with the torch. Are we in the promised land? Ooh, Lana, liberty she stands, shining at us from the shore. Welcome to the promised land. With our cousins down on Broom Street, the old world life, it seems so far away. Now I'm 14 and working in a factory, sewing ribbons on for 50 cents
It's Friday night, Saturday dawn's clear and bright, taking liner on the streetcar to the bay. Oh, Lana, sister, take my hand. There's the lady with the torch, we're in the promised land. Oh, Lana, liberty she stands, shining our newfound home. Welcome to the promised land. The promised land. Tired and poor, orphans at her door, still her light ushered us in. And here we stay, live and work day by day. Now we are Americans. Ooh, Lana, sister, take my hand. See the lady with the torch, we're living in the promised land. Ooh, Lana, liberty she stands, shining on us on the shore. Welcome to the promised land. Oh, the promised land. The promised land. Thanks.
That's beautiful.
Really beautiful. Yeah. And so many of us have come here that way. Those who are not of Native American descent, basically everybody. And it's good to remember all of these things on a day like this, Sunday before the Tuesday, before the rest of life. I know. By the way, on Wednesday, I'm not sure if I told you, I've tweeted this, and I've got an announcement on Wednesday from 1 o'clock on. I'm going to have like basically an open door session of the webcast for all my musical or climatic or sustainability or political friends to just pop by and share songs and stories, or just
cool.
watch what's going on and report in from the streets or whatever. So Wednesday, 1 o'clock, special session of Sustain What. And boy, we need community and communion right now.
Yep.
So Mr. Music over there in Peekskill with that armamentarium of instrumentation on the wall, and you know, and not to mention all the puppets and other things. Your show, by the way, I do encourage folks to catch Dean Friedman's show, because he brings in live all kinds of amazing talent, puppet shows. And can you describe a little bit of the array of people who come onto your show, Dean?
I invited a bunch of musicians and comedians and puppeteers friends that I've made over the years, touring here and all over the UK and Ireland, and we just have a silly and occasionally serious time, but mostly silly. And I've archived all the shows. You can catch all the previous 22 episodes in the Dean Zine section. There's a link right on the homepage of my website, deanfriedman.com. So you're all invited there, and just you click and get a link. And anyone that wants to find out about future shows, just send me an email to dean@deanfriedman.com or through the website.
That's so great. I encourage folks to check it out. It's very kid-friendly, wacky, just a wacky kind of carnival, I guess you'd call it. Here's the deanfriedman.com. You can see lots of stuff here. Riding with Biden. That was a fun tune you did recently, posted on YouTube.
It was fun.
All kinds of wacky stuff. Oh, and Irene O'Garden, a wonderful poet from our region, has just popped in to join us as well. Irene, how are you? You may be muted. Let me see. You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I am terrific. I hope you all are too. It's so nice to see so many wonderful, familiar faces here today. And
great.
Feeling a good vibe.
Well, you bring a good vibe always. I'll never forget. You were one of the first guests on this show way back in March, I think it was, with some others. And you talked about the chrysalis moment we're all in, everything.
Yeah.
Just to summarize, basically, Irene is a naturalist and a teacher of kids and how to write about nature. And she had learned that that transition from caterpillar to butterfly includes a moment when all that protoplasm that is a caterpillar kind of gets all mashed up and becomes an unbecoming before it becomes a butterfly. And boy, does this still feel like a chrysalis moment for our species.
Yeah. Yep. And it may take a little while, it takes a little while for all those things to come into play, but they do come.
So do you have an offering of words and spirit?
Well, actually, I do have. I thought maybe I would read this piece from. I have this book called "Glad to Be Human," which came out in the wonderful pandemic void this year. But I've been doing virtual readings from it. This particular, it's a very short little essay. But I remember, you may remember this too, Andy, when there was a derailment on Metro North.
Oh yeah.
Of the commuter train. Nobody was injured. It was a train, I think, that was carrying trash or something. I don't know what it was, but it was astonishing to me how they corrected that. And at this moment, as we are taking a correction, I thought that might be kind of an interesting thing to read. So it's called Derailed and Rerailed. Last week, a derailment occurred on Metro North, the commuter train that I and thousands take in and out of Manhattan. Happily, there were no injuries. It was 10 cars full of garbage, but it happened at the very narrowest, rockiest section of the railroad, blocking passage for 3 days. Yet by Monday, everything was back to normal. How on earth did they do it? You can see in a video the New York Times called Surprisingly Fascinating. I'll share with you what interested me. Using a huge crane, they lift a big freight box off a derailed car and settle it onto another car on a parallel track. It was almost like the old 15 puzzle, only with only one small usable space. What was most revelatory to me was how they made that usable space. They dismantled a section of tracks. Seeing the rails and cross ties all undone amazed me. Why? Because the railroad seems permanent, not unlike certain systems of belief, which take our minds from place to place. Even though we forget, both are made of components which can be disassembled when we get derailed. When our trains of thought are not smoothly conveying us where we want to go, we can jump the rails or even reroute our whole journey. It's also grand to see how people of clever vision working together can accomplish what looks impassable and impossible.
That is a thought for this moment.
Thank you.
And that, thinking about railroads, there's this concept I learned from economists. I never studied economics until halfway, 2/3 of the way through my journalism career. It's called path dependency. It's in everything we do, and breaking free of those pathways, many of which are internal, is a challenge, and sometimes a disruption of this sort, for all the tragedy that comes with it and turmoil and stress, can, at least in theory, provide an opportunity to break out of our own rails, along with societal norms that are so stuck, or with things like the Electoral College. Talk about path dependency. That's a system that was designed for another time, and here we are in our time. So, Dean, I wanted to circle back to you and see if you had another musical offering for this wacky moment.
Certainly. Let me make my way there again.
Sure. It is a wacky moment. It's everyone I know is where the layers of the moment are just ridiculous. The pandemic moment, which is resurging, climate change, which I've spent 33 years writing about, and Ray's done the similar work. And here's this term, the moment of information breakdown. You know, the infodemic around the pandemic, the infodemic around politics, and all that superimposed at the same time. And here we are. I'm really glad to have this moment every day, every Sunday with all of you.
Well, I hope we wind up having a butterfly come out of this chrysalis as opposed to something else.
Yeah. Ah!
Well, this is another new song that I'm still learning how to play. And in terms of all the upheaval that's going on, I was thinking about the question of how we, as being responsible for this generation and the planet, are going to explain to our kids what's happened and what we've done and what they've inherited. We were blessed with such bounty and plenty, miracles and wonders abound. But we took it for granted that one time too many. Now it's too late to turn it around. We went and despoiled a pristine habitat. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We were meant to bequeath you a garden, to nourish and nurture your body and soul. Instead, here we are begging your pardon. Willful neglect finally taking its toll. We did real damage to the Earth's thermostat. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We didn't mean to be so mean. All we had to do is keep the forest green and the air and water clean, and use a little less polyethylene. Instead, we engaged in meaningless tit for tat. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Heirs to a world of infinite beauty, plenty to share, way more than enough. But we fumbled our stewardship, failed in our duty, squandered your birthright for frivolous stuff. Now all your fine prospects will inevitably fall flat. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Feast your eyes on what we begat. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We poisoned the well. Didn't mean to do that.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah. So what do your kids say these days? They're out in LA. Are they both in LA?
They both live in LA, but a month ago they both flew east because the air was unbreathable.
Oh, right. Oh, that. Right.
And so one of them's still here. One of them went back, but then also had to flee LA because the air quality continues to be horrendous and toxic. So, yes, sorry about that.
Yeah, right. There you go. If you apologize for the fires. Well, some of that's a mixed bag. It's the result of California building itself out into all these ecosystems that were bound to burn. And then there's climate change pushing things up, up, up. What a time. We're close to the end of our hour. Are you all okay to stay around for another couple of minutes?
Sure.
Cool. I might offer one quick one here. It's something I played on here quite a bit. It's almost like a theme song for the show in a way. Let's see here. And same deal. If you could all mute, that would be cool. It's well, Fluky doesn't even begin to describe the way life feels these days. Crisis a minute has become the norm. Worries just won't go away. Bills are piled high, windows are barred. Tread on my tires worn thin. Got such an assortment of problems, I don't know where to begin. So I take my old dog for a 7-mile walk, stare at the clouds in the sky, sit on a rock on the top of a hill and just simply wonder why. Why am I here? Where am I headed? Is there an end to these woes? Then the sun peeks out and a rainbow appears and my dog licks me on my nose. That's when I realize things aren't half as bad as they seem to be. I got 2 good legs, it's a beautiful day, and at least my dog loves me. I decided to take it all a day at a time. Made myself a little oath. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. I get back to my house, I pay one of my bills, write a new resume. Call an old friend I hadn't seen for years, he said I'd made his day. He's behind on his rent, his roof had a leak, he's fighting with his wife. I said, sounds like you could use a little dose of my new approach to life. You see, I realize things aren't half as bad as they seem to be. I got 2 good legs, it's a beautiful day, and at least my dog loves me. I decided to take it all a day at a time. Made myself a little oath. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast.
Good one.
How much alcohol has been consumed this year? Oh my Lord!
I like that you pay 1 bill.
Yeah, that's right. Essential service.
Can I ask Dean? Those 2 tunes you did, when will they be out? Like recorded or some sort of YouTube or public consumption? Because I love them both.
Thank you, Claudia. Well, I'm working on a new album right now. I was hoping to get it out by the end of this year, but it's going a little slower than I anticipated. But definitely somewhere at the beginning of the new year.
Good.
Well, cool. They'll be as relevant then, I guarantee, as now.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, you know, I think maybe we will call it a day. It's been a wonderful morning. You're all beautiful. It's great to have you here. And, you know, all I can say is keep it up, keep out there, connect from a distance where that's necessary, and hug someone if they're in your biological bubble, you know, where we all have at least one person around, I think, for whom that's possible. I'm just going to show folks what's happening on, hold on here, on tomorrow at 1:00, Thriving Online Election Special, How to Hold Difficult but Necessary Conversations, with Peter Coleman, that's what he does. He's a psychologist who runs a lab at Columbia that is the Difficult Conversations Laboratory. He's on Twitter. He's easy to find. Amanda Ripley, who is a veteran journalist who did an epic piece a couple of years ago for Solutions Journalism Network. Believe it or not, there's a network of journalists who aren't just trying to identify problems and say, blah, 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 you know, big story, but are actually trying to reveal solutions through their reporting. She'll be there. And most importantly, we have Reggie Harris and Wallace Raymer, who are Black and white members of the same family going back to the slaveholder Wickham, whose statue was toppled in June. But they had been reconciling across family lines, white and black, for years, trying to figure out a way to grapple with their intertwined histories. In fact, in 1917, they had petitioned to have the statue removed. So some of the white Wickham relatives and Reggie had come up with that. And he'll be here tomorrow too with Wallace to teach us all a little bit about how to hold difficult conversations. It's going to be marvelous. And as I said on Wednesday, 1 p.m., open door. I've got to throw open the green room for anyone who's civil and constructive and has some hope and to come aboard as Wednesday unfolds, the day after the day, and we try to figure out where to go from here. So that's the day. That's the task of every day here. Sustain What is a global conversation trying to make sense of the new information environment, and that means once in a while, hanging back, using song and story to convey hope and to just commune. Thank you all for being here today. Irene O'Garden, Ray Pierre Humbert from Oxford, Claudia Gibson from Wimberley, Texas, Dean Friedman from Peekskill just down the road from me, and Karen Brooks, who was here earlier today, and all those who've been on this show through the months. Thanks for being here. Good day and good luck, as someone used to say on one of his shows. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
And just you can feel free to depart. I'm just going to play Very Fine Line, the recording, just to kind of close things out. That's kind of the closing theme song here. In many ways, life is a very fine line, especially if you don't vote. You're just making it that much more fine of a line. So do that thing, all right? I'm sure most of you already have. So here's a very fine line. Take care, everyone. It's a very fine line between winning and losing. A very fine line between living and dying. A very fine line between loving and leaving. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. Well, 5 out of 6 lotto numbers won't win you a dime. If that driver ahead is a nut, you may soon be flying. Your girl's out the door if you say right things at the wrong time. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. It's a very fine line that you got to walk. Gotta watch every word when you make small talk. Gotta watch every step or you'll find yourself crazy and crying. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. It's a very fine line that you've got to walk. Gotta watch every word when you make small talk. Gotta watch every step or you'll find yourself crazy and crying. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. A very fine line. A very fine line. It's a very fine line between loony and sane. A very fine line between a loss and a gain. A very fine line between pleasure and pain. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. Well, people you think are a genius are this far from bent. President lose an election by 0.5%. We all know love hurts, but we try it again and again. We know that the line between love and despair is so thin. It's a very fine line that you got to walk. Gotta watch every word when you make small talk. Gotta watch every step or you'll find yourself crazy and crying. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. It's a very fine line that you got to walk. Gotta watch every word when you make small talk. Gotta watch every step or you'll find yourself crazy and crying. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. A very fine line. A very fine line. Winning and losing, living and dying, loving and leaving, loony and sane, loss and a gain. pleasure and pain. It's a very fine line that you got to walk. Gotta watch every word when you make small talk. Gotta watch every step or you'll find yourself crazy and crying. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. It's a very fine line that you got to walk. Gotta watch every word when you make small talk. Gotta watch every step or you'll find yourself crazy and crying. Most of your life you spend walking a very fine line. 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 A very fine line.
Thank you so much for being here today. It was fun putting that together with like archival bits of 1920s vintage silent movies and stuff. It's amazing what's out there. And that was actually not the final version. I just realized I clicked on the wrong YouTube version. It's not the one from my album, but it's still fun. Thank you all.
When school isn't a place you have
and,
to be,
again, stay well.
Why not go to school where remote?
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
After the big day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.